Hi, I'm Dylan, and it's part 2 of If Monsters Had Pokemon Types. In this video, I'm covering the 31 fire monsters along with their variants. I wanted to save this for when all the fire epics released, but I don't want to have too long of a gap between parts. Plus, I'm planning on making a remastered version of each part when the corresponding class concludes. But before we start, I would like to tell you that my new plan for the remastered versions of these videos will be taking into account your ideas, not just adding any missing monsters, meaning episode 1 will be getting a remastered version after Epic Mimic releases, likely in Feastember. So ignore what I said at the end of part 1. Mimic will not be covered here. Now without further ado, here's If the Fire Monsters Had Pokemon Types. Starting with the Fire Queen themselves, Kena. I'm giving the common and rare variants the very obvious fire rock typing. Kena's a literal volcano. The rare I'm a bit skeptical on since its texture in some spots makes it look like it's made of wood, but I'm pretty sure it's still made of rock. The epic I'm giving fire dark since its bio says its physical appearance has evolved to reflect the wellspring of shadow and flame. I was thinking giving it the flying type, but since the wings are no longer in use and they only used them to drift up or thermal updrafts, I can't give it flying. Our first fire double, Stog, I'm giving it an interesting typing. Rock Electric. Rock is pretty self-explanatory. It's based on a dinosaur and most Pokemon based on dinosaurs have the rock type. Not to mention it has literal crystals coming out of it, as well as a rocky hide. The epic, despite looking more technologically advanced, is still made out of rock. The electric comes in since it makes an electric synth sound, shown from the waveforms on its side. It's much more obvious on the epic, but the common and rare still share that trait. Boscus I found to be very indecisive, but I ultimately decided to give the common normal fighting because its finger is exceptionally strong and its bio warns to not threaten it to a thumb war. But it's also based on a generic ungulate, which tend to be normal type. The rare I gave pure normal, as now it's an entrepreneur, and due to the new priorities and pampering like the nosy petties it gets, I doubt it's skilled in fighting. The epic is more interesting. I'm giving it the pure poison type due to its stench, since most stinky Pokemon are given the poison type. I was going to give it the normal type too, but it doesn't resemble any real animal. It pulls inspiration from a skunk, but it doesn't have any notable generic features like the common does. Fangler will be a somewhat easy one. I'm giving all 3 variants the pure water typing. If there was a light type, I would give it to the rare, but since both fire and electric don't fit, they're stuck with pure water. The epic, however, I was contemplating giving water dark due to its design, but since its bio specifically states that it stays near the water surface, I couldn't. Flawa is another easy one. I'm giving the pure grass type to all 3 variants. The only other type I could see fitting would be fighting, however in all of their bios they're specifically described as not fighters. The common just has a burly exterior, the rare is just clumsy, and the epic is more of a danger to themselves than others, strictly due to their spikes. Glowl is next, and I'm giving the common and rare the flying fire type because they are birds with fire imagery. I wanted to give them the fire flying, but they just didn't have enough pointing to the fire type, so flying fire it is. The epic, however, I gave flying dark because it's based on a mix of ravens and bats. It has muted colors and fearsome features, and even though its bio states that its bright personality shines through, it also states that it's fully embraced the darkness, which is why I gave it flying dark and not dark flying. Our first triple, Ziggarab, I'm giving pure rock. I wanted to give it bug, like Crustle, but it doesn't have that bug-like aesthetic. The rare, however, is much different. I'm giving it fairy water because it's based on a sponge cake and dessert Pokemon are fairy type. But also since it's a sponge cake and it's said to be good at cleaning, I think the water type fits nicely. The epic is also interesting. I'm giving it rock fairy because not only is it made of rock, but this transformation was directly caused by Fairy Island's rock formations. The transformation is even referred to as magical, and it says that it feels more at home being on Facade than ever before, likely due to lingering magic on Fairy Island. Thumble is a bit boring, not much to go off of from their bios. I'm giving the common ground water, while the rare and epic I'm giving pure water. All their bios talk about how they adapted to living in water, but in the rares bio, we find out that common Thrumble's adapted to land travel, which is why I gave it the ground type, since it now lives outside of water, but it still keeps their aquatic features like fins. Repatillo is quick, it's based on an armadillo, and it rolls up into an armored ball, and the rare can even till soil when rolled up. The common and rare I'm giving rock ground. The epic, however, I'm giving pure grass due to it living in jungles and adapting a vegetal green coat as camouflage. Flugal was a tricky one, but I ended up giving it Bug Dark. It's based on a fly, hence the bug type, but it's also quite nosy, meddling in other monsters' business. Even though this isn't that evil, it's pretty dark by MSM standards. The rare I'm giving Dark Flying because it can fly, and it steals monsters' food, which is dark for MSM. The epic, on the other hand, well, I gave it Psychic, due to it being very wise and enlightened, but I don't know what else I could have given it. Wink's bios are basically just about their hair, so a very easy normal type. But the epic, I'm giving the normal Psychic type due to it having multiple brains, giving its hair odd properties such as hastened growth, not to mention it can grow additional eyes. Next is Souza, and just a sneak peek, probably all members of the Pomely will be given the Fairy type. I mean, they're all about joy and warming monsters' hearts, and just cute monsters in general are typically given the Fairy type. That being said, all variants of Souza I'm giving Fairy Steel, since they're all about supporting other monsters and their horn is made of metal. But if the horn was just an accent piece, I wouldn't give it Steel. But since it's completely intertwined with it, basically using it as armor, the Steel type works. Woolabee? Honestly, I'm giving it pure normal. There isn't much to go off of, it's pretty much just a sheep. The rare I'm giving normal dark, not just because it's referred to as dark as night, but because it prefers spiky over soft and punk over puff, so relatively speaking, it has a bit of a dark side. The epic is much more interesting. I'm giving it Psychic Fairy. Not only can it invade dreams, but it helps monsters fall asleep, and if you look into its eyes, you can see glimpses of the Nexus. Pokémon that have to do with space are typically either Psychic or Fairy, and due to its magical design, I think adding the Fairy type works. Ruditude is based on a tree root, a carrot, and a potato, so the common and rare I'm giving pure grass. The epic, however, is based on a potato battery. Its bio says some starchy tubers can electrochemically power a light bulb, and I feel even though it has metal bracings, the fact that these appendages are handmade rather than something organic makes me prioritize the electric type, so I'm giving it the grass electric type. Waddle is next, and I gave the common and rare variants the fairy water type since it can soothe the spirit of any troubled monster, and it's aquatic. The rare sounds as sweet and squishy as a marshmallow, which sounds like a fairy type. The epic, however, I'm making water fairy. Its bio really just talks about how it's perfectly suited for being underwater. It doesn't say anything that would discount its fairy type, so it can keep it as a secondary type. Our final fire triple, Barb, I'm giving the common variant the grass type, I'm giving the rare grass dark due to the fact that it lives its entire life in darkness, and the epic I'm giving grass poison due to it smelling revolting. Our first fire quad is Tiwa, which I'm giving the common and rare pure fairy due to it being a caring monarch with 2 hearts. The bio even says that its presence brings a soothing sageness. The rare is even more obviously a fairy type. The epic, however, I'm giving Dark Bug due to it referring to itself as a mistress of the dark. It also performs shadow puppetry of macabre tales. Bug comes in because it's based on a spider with similar features. There's not really anything I can give to Pongping. I would give it bug type, but slug Pokemon usually aren't given that type. So the common variant I'm giving pure normal. It's a fan of ping pong and long walks, pretty normal stuff. The rare I settled on dragon normal. Its design reminds me of a dragon, and its bio makes specific mention of its phenomenal hair, and Pokemon with notably gorgeous hair tend to be normal type. The epic I had a much harder time with, but I decided to give it Dark Fairy. I wanted to give it Bug Fairy, but I feel like the dark type encompasses both its scorpion appearance, dark design, and its affiliation with dark magic, even if it's just turning off the lights. And Fairy comes in due to its magical powers. A lot of its bio talks about how it creates spells, which is why I gave it Fairy. Krillby is the only example of a monster being based on wind, but I'm still giving it the flying type. Pure flying to be specific. It doesn't fly, but it does have wings and uses them to guide wind into their ocarina-like body. The rare doesn't have that same distinction, instead barely moving at all, so I gave it pure grass type due to its sylvan coloration used as camouflage. Finally, the epic I gave the ground type due to its features being perfect to deal with the ground. Its hearing is perfect to hear things underground, its claws are perfect for digging, its muzzle is used to suck up subterranean treats, and it evolved to draw all its hydration from morsels it digs out of the ground. Edeimi is next, and I'm giving the common the pure grass type. Its rare, I'm giving grass stark due to it now having a gloomy disposition, atramentus armature, which basically means dark coil, and snide cynicism. Finally, the epic I'm giving grass fairy since it's still a plant, but it gives off a sublime fragrance, unrivaled in the monster world, and nice smelling Pokemon are given the fairy type. Flamox I'm giving pure psychic for obvious reasons. It's able to bend and flex its horns despite being sturdy to the touch. Its elements are the stereotypical 4 basic elements, earth, air, fire, and water. Not to mention it freaking levitates! The rare I'm giving Psychic Ice due to it living in colder climates, sporting new colorations, hairier fur to fit. The cold also caused its horns to split open. As of now, the epic is yet to be released, but will be included in the updated version after the epic Fire Quints. The first Fire Quad to make it into the original game, Tring, is getting the fitting rock fighting type. It's very obviously covered in crystals, which are classified as rock types, and even though it doesn't practice any fighting styles, it still crafts its own nose ring by shaping metal with its bare hands. The rare, on the other hand, is Rock Psychic, as now it's a fortune teller, and if you look into its crystals you can view visions of the future. The epic I'm giving Rock Ground, since they are only found deep within the caves and tunnels surrounding Firehaven. They also supposedly have night vision due to their globular crystals. Now, since Incisaur is based on a dinosaur, it's getting the rock type. The common is getting Rock Ice since it loves frozen treats and it can bypass headaches from its frigid diet, and has a frosty design. The rare I'm giving Rock Poison since it produces a very potent venom instead of saliva. The epic I'm giving Rock Flying since it's now covered in feathers and has wings. Next is Snizer, one that fits so many types it took ages to determine its definitive typing. Rock, ground, water, ice, and fire all work for this monster, but I ultimately decided on water fire since it's filled with hot water and it is a fire monster. And fire has only been represented by 2 different fire monsters so far. The rare will obviously also get fire, and I think Fire Rock works best. And for the epic, I'm giving it Poison Rock. Yelmet was another difficult one because there's no slime type, and gelatinous Pokemon are all given different types. But I settled on Water Grass since it can fit through any crevice or crack, implying it's quite viscous, and its decorative headgear is likely made of wood, and you rarely see one without it. The rare I'm giving Normal Steel due to it being a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not saying all normal types are dunces, but I gave it normal for a reason. And the steel type is because their hat is now made of tinfoil. The epic goes all out on the conspiracy theorist side, and has made headgear befitting a king. And since royalty tends to be associated with the dragon type, I'm giving it Dragon Steel. Bisonus is a strange case where I'm literally just giving it pure dragon based on vibes. The bigger one looks reptilian, and the smaller is referred to as an emperor, so dragon works pretty well. The rare is described as very strong and virtually indestructible, so I'm giving it Dragon Steel. The epic is described as maybe being 2 different species cooperating, so for the dual typing, each will contribute 1 type, so I'm giving it Water Normal. Honestly a bit weird, but it does work. Before we move on to the Fire Quints, I'd like to remind you that at the time of recording this video, no epic Fire Quint has been released, just as a small disclaimer so I don't have to keep repeating myself. Narles is fun due to the monster being the yellow vines rather than the tree, but they are still plant-based and are described as parasitic, and they're small, so I'm giving the common Grass Bug. The rare starts its life underground in the dark depths until maturity, taking on this autumnal coloring, so I'm giving it Grass Ghost. Despite having all natural elements except plant, I'm giving common and rare Tuskki Ice Grass due to the fact that they have trees on their back as well as interacting with coniferous trees for sport. The rare is even covered in trees. Dromedary I'm giving Rock Bug due to its similarity to the Pokemon Crustle, being a crustacean covered in rock. The rare I'm giving Rock Grass due to its armor being made of rock and wood. Candelover is very obviously a fire type, but I'm giving it Fire Fairy as it has an indomitable spirit and acts as a lighthouse for adrift monsters in the vast macrocosm of the monster world, guiding them to their destination. The rare has a spookier, bony design with traits for dark underground life, so I'm giving it Fire Ghost. And our final fire monster, Bowhead, it's a simple one. Pure water cause it's a whale and lives in water, as well as a lot of other water-related traits and abilities. The rare, however, I'm giving Water Fairy, since it's all about beauty and is clearly based on a mermaid or siren. And that's all 31 fire monsters given Pokemon types. Next video won't be until October, so have a nice anniversary month, with a hint of Silksong for my fellow Hollow Knight fans. Only 6 days left.